You're welcome to this channel. We'll be looking at COBIT 2019 Foundation training today. COBIT is a very important certification, especially in the field of governance of enterprise IT, IT governance, and even IT management. Okay, COBIT is basically about governance. And most cybersecurity professionals will have noticed that when you see governance, you are actually looking at the board of directors or the highest level of decision-making setup within an organization. So please, when you see governance, just let your mind just go straight to the highest level of management in that organization. And for most businesses, this is the board of directors. Okay, so we have corporate governance, we have governance of enterprise IT, we have information security governance. Corporate governance is what we are most familiar with. And according to the UK corporate governance code, corporate governance is the system by which organizations are directed and controlled, right? System by which organizations are directed and controlled. And that is the job of the board of directors, okay? So basically, the executive directors, the non-executive directors, the CEO, the chairman of the board, they know their job when it comes to making the business to achieve the vision or the mission of the stakeholders. But where we are having challenges is governance of enterprise IT, which is about ensuring that IT is aligned to the business and is also ensuring that we are able to use IT to maximize value for the business. So IT is not an end by itself or in itself. Okay, IT is simply a means to help the business to achieve its reason of existence. Okay, so governance of enterprise IT is about strategically deploying IT to meet the strategic goals of the business. Then you have information security governance. The moment you deploy IT, you are going to introduce certain risks, and those risks must be managed strategically, tactically, and operationally. So before, what we used to have is the board of directors, leaving everything about IT and IT risk to IT professionals. And what we're saying is that that is no longer tenable. So today, COBIT is advocating for scenarios where you have executives that are very IT savvy, that are very knowledgeable about IT, that can make decisions, strategic decisions as regard IT deployment in the organization. So COBIT certifications. COBIT has 3 certifications as of now. We have implementing the NIST cybersecurity framework using COBIT 2019. You must have passed COBIT 2019 foundation before you can write that. Then you have the COBIT 2019 foundation, which does not really have any exam for you to write before you can attempt it. Then you have COBIT 2019 design and implementation certification. You must have passed COBIT 2019 foundation before you can write that. Okay, so these are the 3 COBIT certifications we have as of now. Okay, COBIT 2019 foundation is multiple choice questions. Okay, 75 multiple choice questions, which you'll be given 2 hours to write. The pass mark is 65%, and so that means you need to be able to get at least 49 questions correct for you to pass COBIT 2019 foundation. It's very easy, as you will soon see. So this is the foundation syllabus. Framework introduction is 12%, principles 13%, governance system and components 30%, then governance management objective 23%. Performance management is 4%. Designing a tailored governance system is 7%. Business case is 3%. The implementation is 8%. So this is the breakdown of the knowledge areas that we are supposed to be competent in before we write the COBIT 2019 foundation exam. We'll be looking at some of these components or these elements in this class. So COBIT as an information and technology governance framework. You will notice that in COBIT, they are very careful in using the word IT, information technology. Right? Before COBIT, will be familiar with information technology, but COBIT is separating them to information and technology because they realize that, all right, we are placed undue emphasis on technology, thereby ignoring information, which is the most important. Technology is used to create information, is used to store information, is used to archive information, is used to delete information, is used to dispose information, is used to transmit information. So basically, we are deploying technology to help us to manage information. So whether there is technology or there is no technology, COBIT is irrelevant as long as there is information, and there is always information. So COBIT 2019 is a product of evolution from the original COBIT version 1 to COBIT 2, COBIT 3, COBIT 4, all right, COBIT 5. All right, then from COBIT 5, we now have COBIT 2019. Of course, COBIT 2019 is meant to allow for changes in the governance and technological environments, allow for contributions from the academia, from the contributions from the industry, from regulators and the rest, so that we have a framework that is actually fit for purpose at these times. Okay, I've talked about enterprise governance of information and technology. So basically, we want the leadership of that organization, not IT, to be in charge of strategic decisions, strategic I&T decisions. So you don't leave 100% of everything to IT department, all right? Because IT may not understand the vision of the organization like the executive, like the business leaders in that organization. They are the one charged with ensuring that the business gets to its promised land. And so they are in the best position to be able to look at the technological options that IT will recommend and say, yes, this one will be the one that will likely or that will be best fit to take us to where we are going. So gone are those days where you have executives, executive directors, non-executive directors that do not know what is going on in IT department, that does not understand, computing terminologies, networking terminologies. We're not saying they must be experts. We're not saying you should go and write CNA or write OCA or write CISSP. That's not what we're saying. But at the strategic level, they must understand how IT fits into the business at the highest level. Benefits of I&T governance: you're going to be able to realize value, benefit realization, all right? And that is creation of value. I always like to use the banking industry in Nigeria as an example in this area. So you see how Nigerian banking industry has evolved to a high-tech industry today, okay? And basically almost all their innovations, all right, is, almost all the innovations are aimed on digital transformation, and they're creating value, all right? So that is benefit realization, creating value through use, through information and tech. The risk optimization. The risk optimization is about preserving the value you have created. So with one hand, you create value. With another hand, you preserve that value. So imagine an organization generating billions over the year. Then one day like that, there is maybe business disruption, all right, for days or for weeks, and all their customers just jump to the competitor. They will not be able to optimize their risk, or they have a cyber attack, a hacking attack that wipe up the values they created over the years. So we have to ensure that business risks associated with the use, ownership, operation, involvement, influence, and adoption of IoT within an enterprise, all right, are managed to the residual level. So residual level means an acceptable level of risk. Then resource optimization. This ensures that the appropriate capabilities are in place to execute the strategic plan, and sufficient, appropriate, and effective resources are provided. So this is talking about resource availability, resource deployment, resource efficiency, so and resource effectiveness, effective use of resources to meet business goals, efficient use of resources to meet business goals. So these are the three benefits. Don't forget, is examinable. Okay, benefits of IoT governance. You have benefit realization, you have risk optimization, you have resource optimization. Okay, so what is COBIT and what is COBIT not? Okay, this is also very, very examinable. So COBIT is basically a framework for governance and management of information and technology aimed at the entire enterprise, governance and management. So both, what we'll be having before is management of IT, but now COBIT is introducing governance and management of information and technology. And we've said that IoT means, all right, it is about the entirety of the organization, regardless of whether it is automated or it's not automated. Everywhere there is information, all right, in the organization, every department is covered by COBIT. COBIT framework makes a clear distinction between governance and management. So governance is strategic. All right, management is tactical. So we have three levels of decision making in organization. So you have strategic decision making, you have tactical decision making, you have operational decision making. So strategic decision making is reserved for the board of directors, while the other two, tactical and operational, can be handled by the management in the organization. So governance ensures that stakeholders' needs, conditions, options are evaluated to determine balance agreed on enterprise objectives. When we get to those cascades, you also see this. Enterprise strategy always emerge from the stakeholders' needs. So it's the stakeholder of the business that will determine the reason for existence and sustenance of that organization. So governance ensures that our objectives are in line with the needs of the stakeholders. Number two, governance ensures that direction is set through prioritization and decision making. So there will be many options, of course. All right, we know where we want to go, but there will be many options on how to get there. All right, do we go by flight? Do we go by rail? Do we go by vehicular transport? So, but we must prioritize, we must make decisions. So the final direction, all right, the final decision making will be done by the directors. Then number three, governance ensures that performance and compliance are monitored against agreed on direction and objectives. So regularly the board also needs to be sitting. Are we on course? Okay, are we in line? Are we still getting the results that we targeted? So that evaluation is very, very important for as part of the job of the board of director. So, the monitoring to ensure that the business is still on course. So now that the governors have decided the strategic direction of the organization, it is the job of management now to plan, to build, to run, to monitor the activities in alignment with the direction set by the governance body to achieve enterprise objectives. So in most enterprises, management is the responsibility of the executive management under the leadership of the chief executive officer. So COBIT defines the components to build and sustain a governance system, processes, organizational structure, policies and procedures, information flows, culture and behavior, skills and infrastructure. Now, when we get to components of a governance system, I'll be speaking more on this one by one. So there's what we call components of the governance system, okay, which every COBIT implementer or COBIT designer must be familiar with. Okay, so COBIT, that is one of the uniqueness of COBIT. COBIT tells us when we pick a governance objective or we pick a management objective, we can implement that objective for our client of our organization by building processes for them, building organizational structures, building, setting up policies and procedures, creating the information that they need. We need to be able to create an information repository for that organization. All right, authoring culture and behavior if need be. All right, then ensuring that proper skills and competence are available. Then also the enterprise architecture of the organization. We'll talk more about this. So COBIT defines the design factors that should be considered by the enterprise to build a best fit governance system. So COBIT says before you actually start implementing COBIT for an organization or a governance system for an organization, you have to consider certain factors which are called design factors, which help you to be able to understand the uniqueness of that particular organization, so that the governance system you are going to create will be a tailored governance system. COBIT addresses governance issues by grouping relevant governance components into governance and management objectives that can be managed to the required capability level. So when we get to performance management, we will be able to see the various capability levels that we have in COBIT. But basically what they are trying to say here is that, we have objectives in COBIT, 40 of them basically, 5 of them governance objectives, 35 of them management objectives. And for each of these objectives, there are 7 components that we must address, okay, for each of the objectives. Then, especially for the processes, we need to be able to determine target capability we want to reach for that client or for the organization. All right, so there are several misconceptions about COBIT, okay, and you should take note of this. COBIT is not a full description of the whole IT environment of an enterprise. So you cannot use COBIT and say, okay, this is the full description of everything that is going on in IT. No, COBIT is not a framework to organize business processes. COBIT is not a technical framework to manage all technology. COBIT does not make or prescribe any IT-related decisions. It is not a standard. That is the difference between a standard and a framework. All right, a framework will give you a template which you can contextualize or customize to meet your organizational needs. Okay, but a standard will give you mandatory requirements which you must comply with. So COBIT will not decide what the best IT strategy is, or what the best architecture is, or how much IT can or should cost. Rather, COBIT defines all the components that describe which decision should be taken and how and by whom they should be taken. Okay, so I will be rounding up here. We'll continue in the next video, which I will be publishing shortly. If you have not subscribed to this channel, try and do so right now. So we have started with introducing COBIT to us. We've explained what COBIT is. COBIT is actually control objective for information and related technologies. It has gone over several transformations over the year to become COBIT 2019 today. And we said that the emphasis basically is to be able to help business on governance and management of enterprise IT. Thank you.